I believe that we can predict a doubling of the technology adoption in the second decade of commercialization from 2006 to 2015. That means the number of countries using biotech crops today would increase from 20 in 2006 to at least 40 in 2015. They would include countries like Pakistan that have just approved the planting of Bt cotton in 2010. Other countries in Asia would include Vietnam, Bangladesh, Indonesia. Similarly, we would expect growth in Africa, in the neighboring countries to Burkina Faso, which planted Bt cotton 2 years ago for the first time, countries like Mali, Benin, Togo, Senegal. In East Africa, countries like Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Malawi. And if we put all this together on a global basis, I can easily see that we can get a doubling of the number of countries from 20 to 40. Similarly, the number of farmers using this technology today will increase from the 10 million in 2006 to at least 20 million in 2015. There are, for example, 110 million farmers in China alone that will grow Bt rice in the future. And in terms of hectarage, we see that we can increase hectarage from around 100 million hectares in 2006 to 200 million hectares in 2015. If we take the two crops that China has just approved, Biotech rice and Biotech maize, that in itself opens up a potential for 60 million hectares of biotech crops. That compares with just under 150 million hectares today. So I believe that by the Millennium Development Goal here, we will see at least a doubling. Already, we see that the status on a global basis is that we have 25 countries growing biotech crops today, which represent 54% of the global population. So already we're over the halfway line. In 2009, we saw record adoption rates for each of the major 4 biotech crops. More than 3/4 of the total soybean grown globally is now biotech. Approximately half of the global cotton acreage is biotech. A quarter of the 150 million hectares of maize is biotech, and about 20% of the total canola crop grown globally is biotech. That is extremely high adoption over a very short period of time. One of the intriguing questions to pose is what will happen with this technology from now until 2015? Are we going to see the same sterling rates of growth that we've seen in the period 1996 to 2009, when we saw an 80-fold increase in hectarage? It seems to me that 2 factors must be in place for us to see continued growth at that very high level. The first is political will for the technology, and the second is an increased flow of improved biotech crops that can deliver significant benefits. Political will is a much more difficult subject than the delivery of technology. But what I see, particularly in Europe, where there has been some resistance to this technology, that there are winds of change. For example, in the UK, Hilary Benn, the Minister of the Environment, is already indicating that the UK should re-look at GM crops, noting that they deliver significant benefits in many other countries, so why not the UK? The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation have indicated their support and are providing generous funding for the use of GM crops in developing countries to increase productivity and alleviate poverty. The G8 and the G20 have indicated that there is a role, there is a place for GM crops in terms of increasing food security and alleviating of poverty. They have said at their last meeting in L'Aquila in Italy that they are interested for the first time in food self-sufficiency, not just food security. That concept is captured in the proverb that says, if you give a man a fish, you will feed him for a day. If you teach him how to fish, in other words, give him the technology, then you can feed him for a lifetime. Probably the strongest support that we've seen at the political level for this technology is in China. The Premier of China, Wen Jiabo, has said that China must have this technology in order to achieve self-sufficiency. They've indicated that they want to be least dependent on others for food, feed, and fiber. This is a strategic issue for China. And now what you find is that other countries, like the Philippines, are also following a policy of self-sufficiency. They aim to produce 98% of their rice requirements next year. We see a pipeline that will deliver significant numbers of new technologies, new crops, new traits between now and 2015. They include rice, the major food crop in the world in China. And as we see it, once this technology is adopted in China, it will spread more widely in Asia. Maize in China has the potential of approximately 30 million hectares. Huge opportunities. But I think the two elements that are important for future growth is drought tolerance in terms of a trait, because if we look at crop productivity, availability of water is the key constraint to increase productivity on a global basis. Happily, we will see this crop in maize, drought-tolerant maize, adopted in the US and Canada in 2012. And more importantly, in sub-Saharan Africa in 2017. There are 600 million people dependent on maize as a staple in Africa. There'll be quality traits. Soybean with omega-3 that decreases cholesterol and heart disease. This provides a direct benefit for consumers. So the wave of new technologies that we talked about in last year's report is already here. The pipeline is full, and these crops are so important. They will produce significant increases in productivity and contribute to the doubling of food, feed, and fiber we want by 2050.